I still think, you're going to see the thousands for gold. I mean, 3,000 be a minimum of mine. I think 3 to 5 is the most likely. And then silver will play catch up, but I don't think the ratio is going to get back to 15 to 1. I think it's more like 30 to 1. If gold doubles, silver will quadruple. Putin or Russia is serious about making a tie to gold to settle in oil for gold. If that actually takes place, day after day, week after week, month after month, and that trade solidifies, obviously we've answered our own question. Gold is back. This really one of the most important parts of the monetary system. If, on the other hand, it's done synthetically or it's done as a proxy, then we have to wait and see. My idea before recent times was that the central bank digital currencies would be unbacked using modern money theory, unlimited printing, and they do a reset on the debt structure so that the debt basically goes away. And that would be the starting point of the new system. I don't think that gold's going to come in immediately, but I could be wrong based on what I just said previously. If Russia really goes to gold, they start settling in gold, then they are, making a new monetary system based on some type of a gold exchange rate. Well, the latest news that I've had is that they want to set a floor on the gold price. And the floor is something around 1750 US equivalent, meaning I think it's 5,000 rubles for so much gold. And that was a really smart way to do it. What you really want is to have a stable currency. There's nothing more stable than an ounce of gold. It never changes. What changes is the value of it. So you have to make the value basically a baseline, and it can increase from there. And this is what the proposal is. So it's not about gold getting sold to buy foreign currencies. It's about gold being used as the monetary asset of last resort or final. So the idea is that all wars are bankers' wars came from a documentary by Michael Rivero, and banks have notoriously funded both sides of the war. You can go back to medieval times and see that the bank funded the king for the war. So the idea is sound. And then if you go to the next step, is this war a war over Ukraine and Russia? Obviously it is. But is it deeper than that? Is it about the new monetary system? And with a lot of talk about gold being used as a means of settlement for natural resources in Russia, like oil and natural gas, if that is to come about, then we have really started to reset based on some type of gold. Certainly you can't rule that out. So a lot going on beyond just this conflict, which is horrible in a lot of ways, but nonetheless, it's there. And it could be ended soon, but it won't be. It's more than just Ukraine and Russia and NATO. It's a lot more. It's about resetting the financial system. That's the bottom line. I just did my whole presentation here in Las Vegas on silver. That's what they asked me to do. And I put up a best case scenario for technology going forward to 2030. And based on Matt Watson's work and the amount of input we get through what's going on technologically, there really is not a way to get that much silver out of the ground 10 years out. So from a legacy perspective, something you could go out 10 years and buy now, it's the most undervalued asset. 10 years from now, theoretically, we don't have enough to meet industrial demand, let alone silverware, jewelry, or investment demand. So I think the trajectory as it stands today is very, very favorable to silver. And since it is money in most South American or Latin-based countries, and it is used on the internet or digital currencies as money as well, I think you're going to see more and more pressure for it monetarily. Let's just go one step further. This is a recent thought of mine. If you look at what Putin did with gold, and we just discussed, think about Mexico being number 1 or 2 producer of silver, and with their new president, maybe they will have an idea of using silver as a means of final payment, right? I mean, if silver was proportional to gold in the historic ratio, you said 15 to 1, and it was like 4 times what it is now or 5 times, you would have maybe a better monetary base to make trade with. So very interesting times. The monetary system is collapsing. A new one needs to come about. And the biggest question to me is it going to be where we, the people, have control of our money, or are the banks going to have such control that we basically have to bend the knee to them to do anything? Oh, I know what direction they want it to go. They want, the complete control. I think there'll be a battle. And I do think that they'll be less rigorous, but I'm not sure. I mean, there's a science fiction book a friend of mine wrote called Highland, and it talks about the vast majority will just go along with it. There'll just be a real subset that doesn't want to do this.
And will they have enough voice or power to do anything about it?
No, they won't. They'll have to go out into the countryside and start living a rural type of a lifestyle. I think it's a great template for what really goes on in these paper markets. And I think it was a big wake-up call to many people that were, let's say, more establishment than I am, that said, oh, come on, it's a bunch of hocus pocus. And now it's in there, right in front of them. And because of that fact, I think a lot of people are waking up. I can see some of these bigger funds moving their silver out of the facilities that they now have into a private vault where they really know they own it. I still think, you're going to see the thousands for gold. I mean, 3,000 be a minimum of mine. I think 3 to 5 is the most likely. And then silver will play catch up, but I don't think the ratio is going to get back to 15 to 1. I think it's more like 30 to 1, which means silver outperformed gold on about a 200% basis. So in other words, if gold doubles, silver will quadruple. I think all people should own both. I wouldn't be a silver only investor at this time. There are people that will, of course, but I do believe that gold will probably be implemented in the new system. Silver, I doubt.